The ghost in Jungkook's live stream immediately reminded us of that moment in the Soup, when the camera caught that same ghost leaving Jungkook's room early in the morning. It was one of those tender moments that Taekook fans never forget, when Taehyung appeared in his pajamas, calmly leaving Jungkook's room, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. Since then, those kinds of moments feel like little signs confirming what we all suspect. Taekook spends every possible moment together, without needing to show it with grand gestures or words. The day before yesterday, Taehyung returned home early in the morning, and a few hours later, Jungkook started his live stream. He was relaxed, opening a box of cookies in front of the camera, searching for his name among the wrappers with that cute and absent-minded way he has when he's relaxed. Everything seemed routine until suddenly, something changed in the atmosphere. Behind him, a shadow moved gently. A subtle noise, the sound of a door closing, or perhaps the elevator. It was as if that noise was so commonplace that he didn't even need to react. And that's where many noticed that tranquility only makes sense if he knows perfectly well who's there. For him, hearing the ghost moving around his house was nothing out of the ordinary. That calm, that lack of reaction, spoke volumes. It was as if he knew Taehyung would open the door at any moment, that there was no need to pretend or hide anything. Between them, everything seems to flow with a naturalness that doesn't need to be proven. There are things that are simply noticeable, even when they try to go unnoticed. Some fans still wait for clear proof or explicit moments to believe in Taekook, but that need is a little sad. Not everything real is shown directly, and not all bonds need public confirmation. Taekook don't have to prove anything, their connection is reflected in small gestures, in coincidences, in routines that only they understand. These so-called ghost moments aren't proof, they're reminders. Small windows into a connection that was always there. Each broadcast leaves a similar feeling. It's not what you see, but what you sense. Those who have followed their story for a while already know this dynamic, this quiet way of always being together, even when they try to keep a low profile. Just look at how Jungkook behaves when Taehyung is around, how nothing startles him, how everything falls into place naturally. And while everyone is free to believe what they want, there are things you simply feel. Taekook doesn't need words to show it, they do it in those small moments that seem casual, but that we all know aren't. On the other hand, Jungkook kept his promise. Today he opened a box of Kancho chocolates, with his usual curiosity, searching for his name among the small chocolates. He didn't find it, but he laughed a little and said it wasn't a failure. He explained that maybe those names belonged to armies, and that was okay too. Jungkook loves us very much, and he doesn't need to say it for us to feel it. He has a way of showing it effortlessly, in the little things, in the way he looks at us when he talks, in his smile that seems to fill any silence. He has shared so much with us that sometimes it feels like we're right there with him. He's taken us along to cook, to clean, to do laundry, and to sing in his house as if it were a small stage. He does it without worrying about looking perfect, and that makes him even more real. Seeing him enjoy simple things reminds us why we love him so much. Every time he turns on the camera and lets us into his world, it seems like he opens a door that not everyone would have the courage to open. This time, he took us to his rooftop, a burger in hand, enjoying the view of Namsan Tower. That tower we've seen so many times in photos, dramas, and videos, but now, seeing it from his perspective, it feels different. It's as if it shines just because he's there. Jungkook looked calm, letting the wind move his hair, gazing at the landscape as if it were a beautiful memory he wanted to hold on to. Everything seemed so simple, and at the same time, so intimate. Taehyung also comes to mind in those moments. The two share a connection that's evident even in the smallest gestures, in glances that don't need words. The love, affection, respect, and trust they have for each other are clear, and that makes everything meaningful. Jungkook and Taehyung have always shown that their relationship goes beyond what many believe. They don't need to say it, it's evident in how they understand each other, in how they support each other. It's beautiful to see that they continue to share that part of their lives, and that they do it with such naturalness. Watching Jungkook share his daily life with us is a gift. There's something truly genuine about the way he makes us feel part of his routine. Not everyone would do that, and he does it without expecting anything in return. You can tell he's genuinely interested, that he wants us to be close, even if it's just through a screen. And that's what makes him special. There's a contagious calm in his way of life, a sincerity that you feel without having to explain it. I hope we can see him with Taehyung again soon, creating those moments we love so much. The ones that make us smile and, without saying much, confirm that their relationship is still there, alive and present. No matter what others say, they always find a way to show that they're still walking together, at their own pace, and that's enough. The connection between Taehyung and Jungkook has always felt real. They don't need to say it, it's clear just by looking at them. There's something about the way they are together that conveys calm, trust, and a closeness that needs no explanation. They don't try to attract attention or create moments for the cameras, they're simply like that, natural, spontaneous. When they're in the same place, a different energy is noticeable. It doesn't matter if they're talking, laughing, or simply sharing silence, everything flows with a naturalness that can't be faked. Every glance between them holds something special. It's not just a look between friends, it's a connection that's felt even without words. They seek each other out without thinking, they understand each other without speaking. There are gestures so small, so simple, that end up saying more than any phrase. Sometimes a smile, a slight tilt of the head, a look that lasts a second longer than usual is enough. And in those seconds, there's a whole story that needs no explanation. Anyone who observes them can feel it, as if there's a language between them that only they understand. Jungkook has a unique way of sharing his daily life. He does it without pretense, without trying to put on an act. He's honest in how he shows his world, and that makes everything he reveals seem relatable. When Taehyung appears in the middle of that routine, everything falls into place very naturally. There's no tension, no distance. It's as if their paths cross again and again because that's how it's meant to be. You can tell they enjoy each other's company, that they feel comfortable sharing the same spaces, laughing at small things, or simply being in silence. That tranquility is what makes their bond feel so real. There's something curious about how they act when they're together. They don't try to impress, nothing is rehearsed. Everything seems genuine. When they look at each other, they do so with a sincerity that can't be rehearsed. When they touch each other, there's no hesitation or nervousness, just the familiarity of two people who already know each other well. You can tell they're used to that closeness, to that trust that's built over time and through living together. It's not something that happens overnight, and that's why it's so captivating. Every time they share a moment, however simple, they leave a lasting impression. It might be a shared laugh on stage, a glance lost in thought during an interview, or a coincidence in a photo. No matter the context, there's always something that connects them, something undeniable. Some people think these things are just coincidences, but when something happens so often, so frequently, it no longer seems like it. It's consistency, it's habit, it's affection shown in a way that defies categorization. Taehyung and Jungkook share a connection that transcends the moment. No matter how much time passes or how busy they are, when they reunite, everything is the same. That's the clearest sign of a real connection. It doesn't fade, it doesn't disappear. It simply becomes more natural. There are gestures between them that not just anyone would understand, inside jokes that no one else can grasp, glances that reveal far more than they seem. Sometimes, the most beautiful thing is that they don't even try to hide it. They aren't concerned with how others see them or what they might think. They simply are. They are comfortable in their way of living together, in how they support and respect each other. It is this sincerity that makes them different, because they don't feel obligated to prove anything. Everything they do together seems to have its own rhythm, its own meaning. And when someone observes all of this, they end up understanding that there's no need to label it. Because what exists between them speaks for itself. It's in the laughter, in the silences, in the details that are repeated effortlessly. It's in the way they care for and support each other, even without saying a word. And that, in the end, is what makes their relationship feel so genuine. It's not a fabricated story or something that can be forced. It's a connection that simply exists, and without the need for words, it continues to grow each time their eyes meet. And although many try to interpret it or find a deeper meaning, the truth is that what's real is there, in the everyday, in the simple gestures. Taehyung and Jungkook don't need to say anything for the message to get through. Every time they're together, every time they share something, they make it clear that their bond isn't a coincidence. It's something that has formed over time, with respect, with affection, with that calm way they have of being with each other. And those who follow them, who have observed them for years, know it. There are things that don't need explanation, because they are simply felt.